What's going on YouTube? Greg here. We're back. It is Friday, officially a week after we took delivery of the Civic Type R LE. It's a beautiful day today, unlike it was last week. It's a little chilly, but we got some news. We're keeping it. All right, guys, so we're back in the car. Obviously, the car's still here. It's a week later. I had till yesterday at 5 p.m., so Thursday, to tell Carvana if I was giving the car back, trading it for something else, or getting my trade-in back. And every single day, I fought really hard to make a decision on this car because it was a really, really hard decision. So I'm gonna walk you guys through my thought process, my due diligence on keeping the car, and how I ultimately came back to the final decision of keeping this thing. So before I continue with this, I just wanted to make it clear that I appreciate all the support that you guys gave me on the first video when I was taking delivery of this car, because I've been away from the YouTube game for a couple of years now. Like, I never really took videos seriously. If I did post anything, it was a couple minutes long, nothing really edited, didn't put too much time and effort into it. But just recently, like, I've had more time, more content to provide YouTube, so I figured this would be a perfect opportunity to try to gain some more traction again. So thank you guys. We got several thousand views on that first video, a ton of likes, a ton of comments, and not all the comments were favoring my side on my opinion of the car. Some people saying that I was overreacting, I should just clean it. Yes, very true. I appreciate all the feedback. I'm not knocking any of you. But I just wanted to make it clear that the reason why I was overreacting or exaggerating is because, one, this was a very expensive car. This is a Honda Civic that cost nearly $60,000. So when you're paying that kind of money for a Civic, first of all, you got to be like a car enthusiast or a Honda enthusiast or a collector of some sort, because you're not going to pay that kind of money for a car like this. It's crazy, because you can just go out and get a regular Civic Type R, maybe an older one or another 2021 that's $10,000 to $20,000 cheaper. There are 2017, 2018, 19 Civic Type R's with higher miles that are going for around high 30s to $40,000. That's not what I wanted, though. I wanted something that was new with warranty, relatively low miles, one owner, and of course, being an LE, there's only 600 of them here in the US, just makes it all the more desirable for me, at least, because I like to collect cars. So that's number one reason why I was pissed, was because I got something that was basically misadvertised. So if you guys have ever looked on Carvana when you buy a car, they're supposed to disclose all the cosmetic issues that the car has. So whether it be scratches, dents, dings, rock chips, they're supposed to put the location on the car where it is and the type of damage it is with a detailed picture of it. Also, they're supposed to take a lot of good pictures of the car in general to give the buyer a better idea of what you're buying. And then when I went back, in hindsight, I looked at the pictures of the car that I bought versus pictures of another CTR LE that costs $5,000 more and has fewer miles. They did a lot nicer pictures for that car than they did for mine. So when I looked at all the areas where there's scratches, the dirty steering wheel, you couldn't even tell on the Carvana ad. So either one, the guy who was doing the pictures that day and checking the scratches had no idea what they're doing, or they knew that was there and they just failed to disclose that on the ad and take good pictures. And the tires, being the front Nexons, I would not have known that from the beginning, because they don't take up close pictures of the wheels on Carvana. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but for me, they obviously did not. So it was the tires, the scratches, and the filthy steering wheel the crooked shift knob, and the nasty turn signal stalk. None of that was captured in the Carvana ad. So they basically catfished me. And then when we got the car, the guy didn't even properly unload the car. He didn't bring ramps with him, no blocks, because we had the whole front splitter just scraping along the trailer. Luckily, the trailer was like a pretty smooth surface, so it didn't really damage the front lip. I did take a look at it. There's a few small scrapes, but that could have already been there from someone else. But as long as it's not really visible from the top or the front, all the damage on the lip, then it doesn't really bother me. And also the damage is very minor. Like, that's a pretty flexible lip. The first thing I did when I got the car is, okay, how can we make the interior better? So I went out, I bought Adams polish, carpet and upholstery cleaner. I also got some Alcantara cleaner, and I got a toothbrush and just like a clean microfiber, and I wet at it into the interior. So the steering wheel, you can't see it right now, but I sprayed it on the solution, I let it sit, and I used a toothbrush and I kind of went at, the dirty spots all around the steering wheel, and that got rid of like 95% of the dirt. So the steering wheel, not even a problem for me anymore. But the reason why I was upset is because the thing was literally filthy. Like, Carvana says that they clean and sanitize the car. They didn't do that. So the fact that it came like that is why I was aggravated. The shift knob being crooked, they probably had an aftermarket shift knob on there, so they probably adjusted the lock nut at some point. I took off the shift knob. It was a 14 millimeter lock nut, so I just had to adjust that and realign the shift knob. So that was perfectly fine. So in the interior was pretty much all set because there was no other scratches or damage anywhere else on the interior of the car. So I'm pretty happy about that. The creases in the bolstering, we can use a steam gun to get rid of the wrinkles. So I'm gonna try that next. So what did I do about the two front tires and the scratches in the panels? Well, I waited till Monday to get in touch with the warranty company that works with Carvana. They're called Silverock. And what Silverock does is they basically handle any cosmetic or mechanical issues with the car that are not disclosed when they sell the car from Carvana. So I called Carvana, I spoke to a representative, I told them that this car is supposed to come with $500 Cup 2 Michelin tires because it is a high performance limited edition car, and the front two tires did not have that. They had these cheap $160 Nexen tires. And before I knock on these Nexen tires anymore, I put them through some pretty serious testing, I gotta say, on these back roads, hitting the turns, doing hard launches, because I really wanted to make sure this is the car that I wanted. And also I had the 7 days to really test if anything was not working properly or broken. So I drove the car really, really hard. Two front tires, those Nexens, they handled actually really well. The Honda dealer that I brought this car to, I got the oil change done. It was about due at 5,000 miles. We got that done. It was like $55. They did a whole inspection of the car. Everything checked out, and the front and rear pads, they're getting pretty low, but I'm gonna change those anyway when I do a track day. Honda called Silverock, the warranty company. They opened my claim, they got it approved. So we are getting two new Michelin Cup 2 tires for the fronts to match the rears, and I'm really happy with that, and I'll keep the Nexens as spare tires if I ever need to, because those are like pretty much brand new as well. Now with the scratches, Honda dealer that I go to works with a really good auto body shop next door, and they're certified by Honda to do collision repair. So I brought my car to them. The back right quarter panel, they used some rubbing compound, and they got rid of that scratch pretty much like 95%. You can barely see it. And with another detail, polish and ceramic coating, I'm sure like you won't even be able to notice with the naked eye. The one here on the driver rear door, they tried to use the rubbing compound. It only got rid of maybe 25% of the scratch because it was deeper in one area than it was in another. They got in contact also with Silverock, and we got them an estimate. It was about $395 to do a wet sand and a polish on that panel to try to get rid of as much of the scratch as possible, because the goal is to not have to involve laying down any more paint on top of the factory paint. Because what that does is they would have to sand it down, that area. They would have to blend the driver door. So now we're gonna have paint, aftermarket paint on the car, and being this is a collectible item, 600 made, you know, expensive Honda, any bodywork, any paint like that significantly reduces the resale value of this car. And I'm not trying to have that. Otherwise, I would just send the car back to Carvana and not have to deal with it at all. And they're paying for it. I have an appointment booked in the first week of June to get that done. We're getting the 2 front tires changed out next week when the tires get to Honda. And the key fob, only 1 key fob was delivered with the car, and it was listed on the advertisement, so that didn't bother me. What did bother me was the driver told me that Carvana is obligated to give the owners a new key if the car costs like over a certain amount of dollars. I think $35,000 he said. Turns out that was completely made up. The person I spoke to from customer service on Carvana said that that is literally not a thing. So they apologized for the miscommunication and the misinformation, but that's not a huge deal for me. It's like the cheapest thing of all the issues. So I bought a refurbished Type R key on eBay. It comes with a blank physical key, all for $85. And I'm gonna find an automotive locksmith, or I'll bring it to Honda to have them cut it and program it to the car. And I think that's only like an hour labor, so we're talking like $155 with tax. So all in all, my total out-of-pocket expense to get this car in the condition that I wanted was about like $250, let's say, for the new key, and $10 for the Adams spray cleaner. So that's not bad. So besides getting everything taken care of cosmetically, mechanically with this car to make sure that this was the car that I wanted, there are a lot of other reasons why I kept this car besides the fact. One, I plan to have a new daily that I could haul around all my stuff, bring my dog, bring friends, bring family, and take this car to a track day if needed to, because this is an awesome track car. I haven't taken it to the track yet, but I've been driving on the back roads, the highway, city driving, and it is so comfortable. Like, these racing seats really hug you in, and they're not uncomfortable. Like, I've had 50 something cars, and I've got to say, of all the ones that came with racing seats, these were the most comfortable for my, you know, body shape, size, weight. Could be different for someone who's smaller or bigger frame than I am. The steering wheel feels great. I like the Alcantara. I may or may not upgrade to a carbon fiber one with leather. The shifter feels awesome. It reminds me of the S2000 shifter, which is like one of the best shifters that I've ever had. The steering input feels really good. I like how it's a heavy steering wheel. I don't like when a car has too light of a steering, because then, you know, when you hit the bumps, when you hit the turns, that thing's all over the place. This is nice and tight. This car, people say front wheel drive, like big horsepower cars. This one doesn't have a lot, but it's like 305 horsepower. It doesn't have any torque steer. Like, it's great. It pulls itself straight almost all the time, even if the steering wheel is turned. So that's great. The steering, the seats, the braking feels really nice. Even though the pads are low, like, I'm only gonna imagine what it's gonna feel like when we put better pads on there, because these brakes feel really, really good. The other thing about this car, it gets awesome gas mileage. The other day on the highway, I was getting over 30 miles a gallon. In the city, I'm getting like mid-20s. Even when I'm beating on it that whole time, I was still averaging lower 20s, like around 23 miles a gallon, and that's with mostly just full throttle, wide open throttle pulls and heavy braking. It's like the perfect daily that you can just drive hard all the time and not have to be guilty of it. The other thing, this car has a lot of trunk space. Cabin cabin space in general is really good in the hatchback. I don't think I would ever buy another sedan after owning a hatchback like this. It's just maybe the way that the roof line is shaped in the trunk, but it has like really deep floors, so you can fit a lot of stuff height-wise. In this car, when I got my new wheels mounted and balanced, I had 4 18-inch tires that were 265 wide. I had the 4 18-inch wheels in the boxes, and I didn't have to put anything in the front seat. It all fit in the back seat and the trunk with the seats down, obviously. And then after I got them balanced, now we have 4 empty boxes. We have 4 wheels with the tires mounted onto them. I was saying, okay, maybe it's not going to fit, but I was mind blown. We were able to fit all 4 wheels with the tires on them and the 4 boxes without having to break down any of the boxes, and it fit perfectly. I was surprised. It was like Tetris back there, but it was great. But anyways, I am at my destination now. That is really the full explanation of why I kept this car, because we got all the cosmetic and mechanical issues taken care of by the warranty company. All I have to pay for is the new key, which I got heavily discounted at $85 instead of $250, which is what you would pay through the dealer. So that saves me a lot of money there. The car is just such a good overall car. It's a perfect daily, gets great MPGs, has really good power stock. The induction noise is great. The exhaust doesn't have any drone. Yes, it's stock. I might plan to put on like a HKS Legamax on there at some point. I'm not exaggerating when I say how much I love this car. This car is technically like $45K. I paid a lot more, obviously, because it's a limited edition run, and COVID, car prices are high. I do not regret making this decision to keep this car whatsoever. I wouldn't say I'm 100% on keeping it, but I'm like 95% that I'm sure that I made the right decision for this car. But I just love this car. It is so good. I can't stress enough how amazing it is. If you guys are looking for a Civic Type R, not even just an LE, any year CTR, I highly, highly recommend it. It fits my lifestyle perfectly. I'm sure it will fit yours just as well too. This car is going to be great for new content. I really appreciate all the new subscribers, all the new attraction to the channel. So if you guys like what you're seeing, I know I talk a lot. It's just when I'm really passionate about the subject, I can go on and on and on, and I start to digress. But if you guys like what you see, please subscribe, continue to support the channel, and check out my other videos. I'm going to try my best to get new content out every single week for you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.